back to KLM in the Yibbeneh Beis Midrash. Nothing is more frustrating than realizing you have an incredible opportunity right in front of you and it passes you by. Some of my friends who are entrepreneurs during Corona the past couple years when there was all this economic turmoil, they told me that they wished they had invested in the Bitcoin. Now they're kicking themselves, right? They had a chance and they let it go by and it's over. The truth of the matter is, as Jews, on a daily basis, when we daven, we are often passing up opportunities to get a Bitcoin before it's ready to explode. It's happening to us all the time. That's why tonight I want to focus again on the mitzvah of Iyun Tefillah, looking deeply into our prayers, because by Iyun Tefillah you can capture those opportunities. And let's apply that. Let's look at Mizmor L'Soda. Let's reflect on this, and I want to show you, because let me explain this. I'm not just giving hyperboles, okay? There are buried treasures in the prayers. In the Tehillim, they're written with Ruach HaKodesh and prophecy. They're buried treasures. And what does the treasure give you? It helps you transform yourself while you're reciting the words. Now let me explain how that works, okay? If you internalize that, you'll realize that Bitcoin is nothing compared to what you can achieve when you're davening, okay? So here's the basis of this idea. In the Gemara Brachos, Daf Samech Amud Beis, very, very famous statement, a dramatic one. Rabbi Akiva is the one they attribute it to. It says, La'olam tzarech adam lamar kol man da'avad rachmana latavavad. A person always needs to say, everything Hashem does, He does for good. Everything the Merciful One does, He does for good. Now, Rabbi Fran brought this Rabbi Schlesinger, and he asked a great question. You know, the Torah is known for being concise and to the point. No extra language in the written Torah, no extra language in the oral Torah. So he asks, why did the Gemara present the instruction like this? La'olam, you always need to say, everything God does, He does for good. Why do you have to say you should always do that? You always need to say this. And the answer is so important, so beautiful. The purpose of when do you need to express to yourself that everything God does, He does for the good? When it doesn't feel good, when it doesn't look good, okay? That's when you need it. Now, the truth of the matter is, if, let's say, God forbid, there's some sort of trouble or calamity or problem, and a person, they remember the Gemara and they said, everything God does, He does for good. Now, if they just say it in that moment when they're facing a very heavy thing, it's not going to mean much. However, if they always train themselves to say, everything Hashem does, He does for the good. For example, he's making toast and it falls to the floor. So he says even there, everything the Hashem does is from love and compassion. And then let's say he's in traffic and he wanted to move forward and another car went in front of him. He goes, everything Hashem does, He does for good. So he's training himself, and then if needed, when things get really tough, he'll say everything Hashem does, He does for the good, and it'll go in his heart and he'll really eventually see the good in it, okay? That's how tefillah works. We discussed this before. Why would Hashem tell us the Anshe Genesis Gadol, the people wrote of prayers, why do they say repeat the same thing again and again and again? And we discussed that for most people, when you repeat things, they become less meaningful, right? Why is Hashem telling us to do it? Why are sages telling us to do it? Why? Because they're helping you to integrate it so it'll be there for you when you need it. These are deep messages that we're getting in the tefillah. And it's through in tefillah, from understanding the depth of those words, that you'll be able to now train yourself for the greatest things. So with that in mind, let's do this with Mizmor L'Soda. So with Mizmor L'Soda, we discussed there are mitzvahs buried. I don't know if it's buried. There are mitzvahs in the Tehillim. And the one we've been discussing is Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha. That's a mitzvah. It's a commandment. How important is this commandment to serve Hashem b'simcha? Well, it's hard to believe this, but in Parshas Ki Tavo, when it's elucidating these really terrible curses that could come upon the Jewish people, God forbid. Right? So it says there, why would this happen? Tachas asher lo avadata es Hashem b'simcha. Because you didn't serve Hashem with joy. Now that's it's saying that all the calamity is because we didn't serve Hashem with joy. I understand if we didn't serve Hashem, that there'd be some troubles, okay? But why is it that we didn't do it with simcha? So first of all, we see from this, serving Hashem with simcha is not a minor mitzvah, it's super important. Question is, why is it so important? I'd like to say like this, and it's because, as a famous statement, that we lose sight of why we're here. We think famous thing that says, we think we're physical beings having spiritual experiences. You come to a shir, you listen to the Torah, and now I'm being spiritual, but I'm a physical being. It's the opposite. We're really spiritual beings that we have a physical experience, and we forget that our souls came from the heaven, and they came down here for a purpose. They came to this world to seek and discover Hashem, even though His ways are hidden. It's our whole purpose here is to seek and become close to Hashem. So if we're not enjoying the main conduit, service of Hashem, mitzvahs are the way to achieve this purpose of our existence. If we're not enjoying that, it shows we've lost sight of our purpose. We're, if you will, we're unplugged. So if we're unplugged, Hashem has to, do something about that. That's why Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha is so important. And given that it is, let's go over the lessons of how do you do it? How do you serve Hashem b'simcha? We're going to review that, and then we're going to discover the depth of the very next line in the Tehillim. Okay, let's remember this very deep mitzvah that's embedded in Mizmor L'Soda. What does it say? Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha. Serve Hashem with joy. That's a mitzvah. We said it's a very important one. Now, to get ourselves to do that, we have to understand why. Why should I serve Hashem with joy? And there were two reasons, and let's go over them. The first one is it's a chance to give back. We are overwhelmed. We have a debt of gratitude to Hashem for life, for family, for breathing, for eating. It's countless. And when a person is always receiving, it doesn't feel that great if you don't have a chance to give back. And that's according to Rabbi, the Hovos Halovos, Reinu Bachaya, according to Rabbi Miller. That's why Hashem has us serve Him. We sometimes forget it, and we feel like we're doing Hashem a favor by serving Him. And if we do, that we're not necessarily going to feel joy. But if we realize He's doing us such a favor to give back for all He gives to us, then we'll serve Hashem b'simcha. So that's number one, is it's a chance to give back, which is a great, great way to experience gratitude and express it, okay? The second is, what are mitzvahs? They are gifts, heaven-sent gifts. The Zohar taught us this, that Hashem sends us these gifts of these mitzvahs. You know, we do these activities, they make us better people. They help us reach the height of human perfection, and they also give us delights in the world to come. So how do you feel when you get a gift? You know, just today I got a gift for my granddaughter, and she's she's 2.5 years old, and she's always shy when she first comes into the house to see us. So, but this time I said to her, Elisheva, would you like to see her gift? And she says, yes. That she was so excited. There was no shyness, nothing like that, right? Because she's so excited to get a gift, right? So the Zohar says that that's what's happening. If a poor person comes before you and you have a chance to help them, you were sent a gift. And guess what? It doesn't stop there. Since it's a gift, Hashem is watching to see, are we going to have the excitement of my granddaughter, the joy of getting a gift? And if we do, he just guarantees us more gifts. He gives us a delightful world to come. So you hear this? 2 great reasons to serve Hashem b'simcha. One is it's a chance to give back. He's giving us a wonderful opportunity to say thank you, not by just words, not in our heart, but with actions. That's what service of Hashem is. So let's do it b'simcha. And secondly, is it recognition that we're receiving gifts. Every mitzvah is a wonderful gift from the Shemayim. Yivdu Hashem b'simcha, serve Hashem with joy, sounds wonderful, of course. However, when I first taught this, this is about the 3rd class focusing on Mizmor the Soida. When I first taught this point, and I showed, isn't it beautiful? You have a chance to give back, and we know gratitude just makes a person even feel good physiologically. It makes you feel good, and what about these gifts? So there was a woman in the Yibnei Shir, and she said, she says, yes, that's beautiful, but I have a question, she said. What about when things aren't going well? What about when I'm really upset, I'm despondent, how do you serve Hashem b'simcha in those circumstances? You know what? The Al Sheikh HaKodesh, in his explanation to him, says that's exactly the reason that the next verse in Mizmor Soda comes. It comes to teach you how you can serve Hashem b'simcha no matter what, in all circumstances. So she's right on. It was so important to know, how do you do this, in those times, that the next verse comes to do it. So now we're going to do Iyun Tefillah on the next verse and discover, how do you serve Hashem at all times? Okay, let's look at the next verse and how it teaches us. As we said, serve Hashem b'simcha. This is our goal, no matter what. And the Al Sheikh points out there's really 3 things that distract us from serving Hashem b'simcha. Let's look at them one at a time, and let's see how is it that the pasuk helps us with each circumstance to overcome it and to connect. All right? Number 1, he doesn't look so happy, right? Feeling troubled. That's one classic reason that, how do you serve Hashem when you feel troubled? You're having troubles and difficulties. In fact, how do people feel when things are going very roughly? They often feel like someone's out to get them or something. They don't feel so connected to Hashem. They feel disconnected. They feel persecuted. They feel like, wow, this is so heavy. Everything is so heavy, right? So now, certainly at that time, it's going to be hard to serve Hashem b'simcha. And that's why the pasuk says this, Da'u ki Hashem hu ha'elokim. Da'u means know the following, that Hashem is God. All right, now, the way you discover the depth of the verses is you say, wait a minute, who does it? We don't know that Hashem is God? What is it teaching? So the word da'u is the secret here. Da'u means integrate, intensively integrate the following point. Hashem. And see, we also have to understand the meaning of Hashem's names. Hashem, which we say Yud Kei Vav Kei, he is Elohim. What does that mean? So the word Elohim can mean the midah, the attribute of justice. It's a word for a judge, right? So we experience, when we're experiencing difficulties, it could be coming from this midah. But we can never forget Hashem. Hashem's main, if you will, the name that represents him the best is Yud Kei Vav Kei, and it stands for Rachamim, compassion. So it's saying, Da'u, know this, know that the one who is judging the situation, we see something that's so important to realize, the contribution of Judaism to the world is there are not two sources in the world. It's not good and evil that doesn't have a single source. You know, if you will, there's this expression, the devil. The devil sounds like a free agent, right? In fact, that's not the Jewish explanation. Satan, the Satan, means, and it's like a prosecutor, a lawyer, or someone who's trying to prosecute and bring about justice. Now, right. So the prosecutor, who's sitting on the court? Hashem, the source of love and compassion. So what that means is, if you're experiencing trouble, you have to realize that it stems from someone who loves you. Know that hardships stem from Hashem's love. If you recognize that, in fact, sometimes what you're hoping for, the blessing, the wealth, the money, would be a disaster. So therefore Hashem's verdict is to go with the prosecutor and give a person a challenging situation because he loves us. Okay? So how do you serve Hashem b'simcha even when you're in troubles? Realize what I'm experiencing is coming from Hashem. He loves me. And again, this is the point of Ian Tefillah. This is why we're supposed to repeat this on a daily basis. Da'u, if you keep integrating that, then when you face difficulties, you'll know it's coming from love. So that's the first thing. So we have feeling trouble. Know that the source of the trouble is the one who loves us. Secondly, let's say we accept that Hashem, the one who represents love and compassion for his children and his creations, right? So Hashem dealt this out. But we can't help sometimes in saying, why me? What am I doing wrong? I try to be a good person. I learn Torah, I give charity, you know, I bake challah, I do all these things. Sometimes we feel like we don't deserve this judgment, that maybe really, like, why is this happening? I know you love me, but why this? The next phrase in the pasuk helps us with that. Hu asanu, he made us, v'lo anachnu, and we're his, okay? He made us, which means like this. The one who made us is saying, we need this. You need this experience right now. You have to realize a parent wants the best for their child, clearly. But maybe they make mistakes, okay? But Hashem, first of all, he's a perfect parent, but he made us. That's beyond a parent. A parent didn't design the child, you know, and create the whole thing. Hashem made us, and he made us for a purpose. You know, Rabbi Miller says, if you look at a bee, it's clear if you study a bee, you realize he was made for a purpose, right? He made the bee to pollinate flowers and to bring us honey and all these things. So if he made a bee and for a purpose, right? Doesn't it make sense that the crown of creation, mankind, he made for a purpose? He made us, and therefore he knows this is what we need. This is what we need for elevation. This is what we need for perfection. This is what we need to shake us up and become better people. He made us. So when we feel like, okay, I know this is from Hashem, but I really don't understand, like, what am I doing wrong, right? Just realize this came because he made us, and he knows he knows it more than Father knows best, Maker knows best, okay? So if we integrate that, right, Ian Tefillah, if you recite the words, every day, and you keep working. He made us, He made me, and that's why He decided this is going to bring me to the next dimension, the next step. We do that, then even when we get that feeling comes up, we're human, we'll feel like, I don't deserve this. Think into it that He made us, and He knows that this is perfect for us, okay? One more, and I think this next one is probably what most of us face the most, which interferes with us serving Hashem b'simcha. Being busy and stressed out. The clock's ticking. I have to make I have pressures at work. I don't have time. I'm just so busy. Right? We all know that. So it's hard to be in a state of joy when you're anxious, when you're stressed, when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're busy, right? So what's going to help us get out of that? Now that's a key one. If we want to serve Hashem b'simcha, and we certainly do, it's the reason we're here, it reflects we get the point. Amo, we're His people, but so Mariso, we're the flock He shepherds. Now we have to understand, the Torah is not poetry. If it gives a metaphor, it's for a deep divine truth, okay? So the shepherd, right? So we have to realize that, let's just think about this. A sheep is in a flock and he has a shepherd. What does the sheep need to do to get the grass to eat? He just needs to follow the shepherd. The shepherd's going to take him to where he needs to eat, right? So if we realize that Hashem, first of all, we're His people, He knows that we're meant to be role models of morality in the world. We're supposed to help the world recognize that there's a loving, caring God who loves all His creation. So we're His people. He's not going to take care of us, but even more, we have to realize the experience is like a shepherd. You just have to move your feet where he's pointing you towards. Of course, I'm not saying you don't make an effort, but you don't have to worry about it. He's setting this all up. He's going to really take care of our livelihood, our income, our situation. And just you have to realize, when we think we're in control or we need to be in control, that's the source of stress and unhappiness. And if we realize, He's in control, I'm just in the flock being guided into a beautiful place, then we will also be able to serve Hashem b'simcha. Shir